Lenny Kravitz. Did you know that?
I love Lenny Kravitz.
No, that's Benny Kravitz.
Oh, Benny Kravitz?
We can't use Lenny Kravitz.
That's Benny Kravitz, his
that's
long-lost cousin.
Yeah.
Hey, cousin Benny, I got that new sound you're looking for.
I got your riff. This is okay, royalty-free on the internet. Yeah, that's Benny Kravitz, man. Fucking sweet, sweet riff.
Benny is no joke.
Yeah, yeah. It's time to get serious, folks. This is the big serious stuff. Me and the kid here probably have some different opinions on this one. So, by the way, we're back from the break. Ruthless Politics, episode number 4, sponsored by CBDpedia and Pure Clear Hemp. Some good stuff there. Remember, CBD is a life-changing situation that you want to check out if you've never done it. Look into that. And you even get a discount on CBDpedia, correct?
Yeah, you can use coupon code KidChronic or Treez for 20% or 10% off your entire cart.
Well, there you go. So, one guy who needs CBD more than anybody right now is billionaire Jeffrey Epstein, the billionaire hedge fund. By the way, everybody, look up this hedge fund shit. All these people make a lot of money. We should be looking into what the fuck's going on there.
They make a lot of money fast, too. Yeah, but I don't want to go down this side.
No, we do not. We don't. So Jeffrey Epstein, everybody knows this. Unless you're living under a rock, this is the big story. It's sensational because it involves sex. It involves minors. It's got politics. It's got famous people attributed. What's going on here? What's Jeffrey doing?
Well, I'm going to give you a little credit on this one because I got to be honest. Treez was onto this story a long time ago, and you told me about this story, and it was so sensational that I didn't really buy it all at first. Everybody was like, Bill Clinton's involved, and he's on a jet, and I'm like, okay, well, this is another pervy Bill Clinton story, and but I didn't put the weight into it that it actually, this story has tentacles throughout all of politics, and it crosses oceans. We have a prince involved here. We have Donald Trump involved. We have Bill Clinton involved. It seems like a lot Bill Clinton is involved. And this guy had a Rolodex, basically a black book, if you will, that was released, and it had everything in there from girls' numbers, massage parlors, all kinds of, well-to-do people. And the basic gist of it is I guess that he was arrested in Miami. Right? He was arrested.
Originally.
He was arrested in West Palm Beach. I'm sorry. West Palm Beach. He was in South Florida. Yep, and he served time. It was a small sentence.
And it was bullshit, as you know. He spent a lot of time. He was allowed to go to his office and work. He wasn't confined to a prison cell. He had it very easy.
Yeah, 6 days a week he could go to his office work. I guess the guy has to work on Saturday.
And I believe this was for 18 months or something like that, a year and a half, I believe, or something like that.
It was under 2 years.
Yes.
Short amount of time.
Yes.
And everybody else that was involved with him, a woman who was a handler and other people, they got full immunity.
Yes.
And then also the victims weren't notified that this was even going on.
No.
So there's a lot of questions to how this basically plea bargain agreement got set up, or was a non-prosecutorial agreement, which I guess is even better than a plea bargain.
So apparently there was different factions from West Palm Beach Police and different people from the chain up with Alex Acosta.
Alex Acosta is our labor secretary, who is basically the main guy on the deal.
He was the prosecutor on the deal. I believe he was pressured. I don't think he made this decision himself. There's no fucking way on his pay grade he made this decision himself. But he was the one that was going to hang for it, and they gave him the light sentence, which nobody can understand. So he is on the hook as the guy who was in the decision that let Epstein get off so easily. And yes, by chance now, as we know, Donald Trump's tied to Epstein, West Palm Beach connection. We're going to find out if there's more. But they certainly know each other from many years in West Palm and in New York. Trump's a New York guy. Epstein also having that apartment in Manhattan. Acosta is now the labor secretary for Trump. So yes, this looks bad. Listen, even as a Trump fan, let me just make this point. This is the swamp. This is why they use the term. All these motherfuckers know each other. And coincidentally now, why this also takes another twist, is that guess who the prosecutor this time is in New York?
Isn't it Mueller's daughter or something?
It's James Comey's daughter.
James Comey's daughter. That's
so
it.
Everybody, if you don't think this is a fucking soap opera, James Comey, the guy that Trump fired, the guy who set the whole storm off, that's why you have a Robert Mueller investigation, his daughter is now going after Epstein with a Trump tie. Well, this is going to get massive. Now, let me just say one other thing. If you're going to take Trump down, you have to take Bill Clinton down too, because I believe Bill Clinton's way more involved.
That's my whole point.
Are you willing in the chess game to sacrifice him?
That's what I think happened. So here's my take on it. So I think that everybody knew about the Epstein thing. He was probably going to get some serious trouble, but Alan Dershowitz was involved. Maybe Trump wasn't that important at the time, but Bill Clinton was involved. And they're like, you know what? We're not going to take down a president over this. We're not.
Right.
We're absolutely not going to do that. This is a good standing president. And so he got this easy deal. Fast forward, now we're in the Trump years, right? And Trump has skated by through the skin of his teeth in all these lucky scenarios through all these different possible charges. And everyone's starting to look back at the Epstein thing and say, wait a second here. There may be something here with this Epstein thing. And so what ends up happening is in Florida, he has immunity. He doesn't in New York, and it's federal immunity. So the state in New York starts looking at all this and starts to put together a master case for a much bigger crime. And I think that they made a calculation, and they said this. You know what? If we've got to take down Bill Clinton to get Donald Trump, fuck it. Let's do it.
Now, again, that is what's going to happen if you're going to get Donald Trump.
That's the calculation that was made.
Yeah. And by the way, they're not the only two that go down. If you're going to start indicting other people that you think
Alan Dershowitz is
he's
definitely
going down as well. That's right. So there's a list. Kevin Spacey may go down. There's other people there's a lot of people. If you got to research this, a lot of people think this ties into Pizzagate in some way, that Jeffrey Epstein, okay, so let's give you some more background on this. They call it a sex ring. He was doing this in New Mexico. He was doing it in New York. He was doing it in Miami. So wherever he had a residence, I guess they call it a ring, because he had just girls in every city down to come to him. So I want to talk about the whole victimhood thing and about these girls on a side note here as well, because I think I have a different opinion than a lot of the people. And maybe it's because I worked in the sex business, so I was around a lot of girls that maybe looked at things differently. I don't know, but there's no doubt that this was illegal. You can't have sex with minors. So these girls are 14, 15, 16, they're saying, in that area. A lot of massaging going on. I don't know if everyone was having out-and-out sex, but these girls were definitely duped into massage leads to more. And some of the girls have told stories where, they're getting groped or touched or whatever, and perhaps fellatio and shit like that. But here's my problem. When are you not a victim when you've done this now for the 10th time? Regardless of your age, you went home, you spent that money, you went back for more money. You went home, you hung out, you're being jet set. So not only are they doing this, but they're on Lear jets. I know people that would cut their pinky off to go in a limo to go on Jerry Springer. That's how fucking shitty their life is. You know what I mean? They went after girls that were poor, trailer park girls skipping school, the cigarette crowd, They went after an easy target that needed the money. And then you heard how a lot of these girls, including this Ghislaine Maxwell, who was his girlfriend that procured girls, and they had others. He had a butler that procured girls. He had it all. When these other girls are getting other girls, and they said there was tons of them. I mean, I'm hearing numbers in the thousands over the time that he's been with all these. How are you a victim if you're now bringing in other victims? And don't you deserve some blame? If that girl's going to go to jail for talking to that boy about telling him to do that, what's the blame for the girl that blew Jeffrey Epstein and then brought 4 other girls there to blow him?
Well, and that's one of the girls. That's one of the victims. Well, so, man, this is a tough one. This is a really razor-thin hair to split, and I guess we're going to do that here today. So
I'm just interested.
This is what I think about it, okay? I think this is what happens. When you're a billionaire, they have so much money that they start kind of buying people. Right. And if he was buying an escort of age or go to a place where escorts are legal, I don't think he would have as much problem. I think this is a case of pigs get fat and hogs get slaughtered. He had to keep having more girls. He had to set up this whole network, and then he had to hook up the politicians and all this, and he had to coerce the girls. And yes, he let them go. And yes, maybe girls had a financial benefit to hanging with a billionaire. But I just think in the eyes of society, they feel like he reached too far, too many times, was too flamboyant about it, and that will land you in jail every time.
He broke the law. There's no doubt about it. He's going to go to jail. And he deserves to.
Why couldn't he date 18-year-old girls? You know what I'm saying? He's a billionaire. And 18 would still be very young for him. But it would be legal. Or 21. What's wrong with a 22, 23-year-old girl, Jeffrey Epstein? Like, why the fuck are you dating 16-year-olds? You have jets and mansions. You have everything a man needs to get whatever woman he wants.
Because we have a pedophile epidemic that people want to talk about. Because when people want to say Pizzagate's not real, I wish it wasn't either. I'm no fucking dummy, man. I went and I researched that hard. And I'm not going to go off in a Pizzagate tangent, but when you're talking about rings and children and procuring whatever, there's other people doing that. The whole Nexium thing, he just went down, this Rainier guy. Nexium's tied to Epstein. There's actual Epstein's tied to people. I'm going to drop a name on you that you really got to look up, and it's the Brahmins. So Claire Bronfman's tied to Nexium. Benjamin Bronfman is the big-time attorney, another Jewish guy, coincidentally, who's a big Epstein guy, and Bronfman defends all the celebrities. You can look it up. Benjamin Bronfman, Bronfman. The Bronfmans are bad, man. There's no other way to put it. The Bronfmans are bad, and Claire is tied to Nexium. They're tied into Epstein. We have a pedophile problem. I think it's very sad to say. I think it's a scary, dirty world out there. I believe that all of the kids that are involved in the adoption system, the kids that are thrown away that are in that, are getting abused in that system by those people because there's no checks and balances on them. Nobody's checking on them. Nobody cares. And I believe that when you see all these missing children posters everywhere, and they are everywhere, those kids don't get found. And I think the scary, sad fact is something terrible happens to them. And it could be molested, it could be killed, it could be sold off into slavery, it could be whatever it is, or they're just chained in some guy's basement for 10 years.
That happens all the time. And then all of a sudden they come bursting out.
Yeah,
It's like a
I
huge
think
news
it's
story.
scary news, folks,
When
and
kids
we don't
do go
want to believe
missing,
it.
usually they're found like in the neighborhood. So they're in like
If they
some
are.
guy's basement like 2 blocks away. But here's the thing with all of this and splitting all of these hairs, man. I think that people are just fed up with lawlessness from the rich. And I don't think any of us give a shit whether it's Bill Clinton, whether it's Donald Trump, whether it's anybody who may be involved in this, whether it's Alex Acosta or whatever. There needs to be some fucking accountability for these rich people. You should not be able to run basically a giant underage escort ring and then get a slap on the wrist and be in your office 6 days a week.
I agree.
You know, pay some fines, and they don't even tell the victims. And, you know, also a lot of this was in the open. There was news stories that we discussed, you know, where they had pictures of Epstein with young girls post the first arrest.
Well, shame on the media for protecting him.
Yeah, you know,
Absolutely.
I mean, it was
protected.
unbelievable
Well,
that he got away with it this long.
He's a big Democratic donor. He's a somebody. He spread money around, and these people like to party. You know, they're going to this island to have fucking fun.
And he is a billionaire with a B. Yes. You know, he is not a millionaire. His house is not an apartment. It's a building in Manhattan. He has a mansion in Palm Beach. He has a jet they call the Lolita Express, which has, you know, beds and couches.
Rubbing it right in your face. Yeah,
it's
rubbing it right in your face.
You know.
No, he's a somebody, and like you said, man, the rich play with different rules. I have bad news for everybody, though. It's always been that way. It was that way in Julius Caesar's time. The royalty will always win. You're watching this fucking royal baby and all these royalty, and as you all bow to them, which I will never do, I have zero fucks given about anything from the royal family, and I don't know why anyone in America does. But just keep in mind, all of you plebes that watch that, you put them on a pedestal and you have no problem doing that. Well, they take full advantage of that. Epstein is your royalty. They play by different rules, and they fully believe to get off because they're friends with the people that are going to get them off. They write the checks.
Well,
I don't think that's ever going to change.
Royalty with Prince. What's his name?
Oh yeah, Prince Andrew was.
Prince Andrew.
Prince
Andrew's heavily involved in this.
He was with the one girl, and her name escapes me, but he's with the one girl that she's been around with everybody. There's pictures of her with Eminem. There's pictures
She's the
of
one
her
that did
with
the
P. Diddy.
YouTube video. That interview, you can tell by that, just the way that she speaks about it, that's too real to be fake. She can't be making that up. I mean, she nailed that, and she's calm about it. And that, you watch that video. That interview on the Epstein victim is pretty hard hitting.
I want to give credit. Why this all came about, because you made up an interesting point that I want to capitalize on, is why is this happening now? Why is he being dragged through and in New York? So, like you said, Southern District of New York that has a hard on for Trump, and they go after they're the bad boys, so to speak, of New York. I mean, that's where you go when you want shit to get done.
That's also where Alan Weisselberg, the Trump treasurer, has been snitching for like a year. So SDNY has a lot of information on Trump, whether it's criminal or non-criminal, who knows? But they have a lot of information.
So New York, they find the loophole. Well, we'll get him in New York because he has a residency there, so they're going to get him there. There were two people that had a hand in why this also happened. There's a journalist by the name of Mike Cernovich. He's a righty. A lot of people do not like Mike Cernovich, but he had a big hand in this. He's been up Epstein's ass and talking about it for a very, very, very long time. And so Mike Cernovich had a big hand in this. But as far as mainstream media goes, it was the Miami Herald that really blew this open. And the writer's name, I'm going to pull it up here, but she basically was relentless in going after Epstein. Her name,
Yeah, the Miami Herald was the one that dug through all the court docs, that went through that plea bargain agreement, that exposed all of that. And they even had the Miami Herald guy on CNN the other day. And, you know, they're like, well, you know, this involves Trump. And then, you know, and I love CNN, but then the Miami Herald guy says Bill Clinton, and they're almost like, yeah, oh, wait, cut the commercial, cut the commercial, you know.
Julie K. Brown. So Julie had this hard on, and she has been going after Epstein. And she's what's really put this in the spotlight. And so she deserves some credit as well.
And they've done it fair. They have been on both sides. Whether it was a Democrat or a Republican, they reported fair on all of these politicians that are involved in this case, at the Miami Herald at least. The Miami Herald has played it fair.
They have. They seem to have played it fair. I will say that I've seen some of her other things. She's not a big Trump fan. So
well, she's a woman.
Yeah. So. She's not a big Trump fan. And it seems that whenever I see something like Trump's on the front of everything that involves Epstein, so they're definitely pushing that. This is a way to go after Trump.
Epstein is a lot like a keystone. He's holding the arch together of a lot of political corruption around, you know, these old, rich, white guys that, you know, like to have a lot of sex. Like, there's kind of a group of them that, you know, is kind of like your typical, you know, aggressive male guy. You know, your Bill Clintons, your Donald Trumps. I'm surprised that Alan Dershowitz is in there. But
yeah, he's so docile.
Yeah, it seems like there's a reckoning coming for these guys. The government is what's on trial right now. Is the government going to pussy out on this, or is the government going to prosecute? I mean, because I got to be honest, I've been living in America my whole life, and I do not have confidence that they're not going to brush this under the rug.
This time it may have gotten too big for them to try that. I think
it's right on the edge. We're going to see.
This is a huge story. This is not going anywhere. Donald Trump, he has to worry a little bit. It's about proof. And one of the things we also talked about was, are they going to put other people in jail? Is that the goal here? Because you can take Epstein down. But if you're saying that Epstein had sex with these girls and that he did this for all these other guys, when do you start bringing these other guys in? And that's going to be very interesting how that happens.
Let me ask you this question. Let me ask you this before we get off this subject, or we roll into these other pervs like Kevin Spacey. If our boy Epstein can hand you Bill Clinton and Donald Trump, do you let him off? Does he get immunity?
I don't think he's going to get immunity because all right, he may, well, that may be the only way you get him to do that, but he may have to serve even a year. He's facing a minimum of 10 and a maximum of 45.
So 2 years, give up 2 presidents, and you're out the door? That's it?
He may not give them up unless it's complete immunity. So the question is then, was that your goal? So then you're letting the one pedo off that really organized all this so you can take 2 presidents down? Like, is that where we're at?
It would seem maybe a perversion of justice, because the presidents wouldn't necessarily be bigger criminals than him, just bigger names.
Just bigger
but
names
the country is
for the
so
papers.
hungry for this. I mean, how are you going to stop the mob?
I think that it's an interesting chess game. If you're going to lose your rook, Billy Clinton, to take out the king, Donald Trump, who is our king right now.
Yes, this is a sacrifice fly.
This is a chess move.
Yeah.